GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, I said the end, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, I don't from me straight to plot. Or when I'm stand up for the stone, I live my life. Been east to rich when east and they still when I make it fast. But the schooling's never bad for me, my dough is still for thighs. I'm the horn, niggas know they cute you, I keep out the bone. But let's get it, you know my knee and miss be up the shown. And when I see a nigga smile, you will stay up front. And if they got me know, then I, you know I did the con. Cue up the icon, I see the fact. This ain't I'm easy, but I hate I wake, so what I pack. I keep a searing in the rain, then I smoke as crash. And if I get I'll keep a far, I know some planet, yeah. Taking trash to the sky from my leasing to living. All the flu on the blend, that resenting you reeling. That's geeking out of love, I might never be willing. You shall never know what you I can never forget. But tune in, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, I 7 in, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, you know by now it's on the line of people, but you never know this name, it's Kanana sequel. Spick it fresh, taken down, so decide the needle. Put down, stay the time to lime like you want the needles. And if you hate when I like the brown, it's like your cam in the brown till they come now. But like I'm so fresh up and do the moves confused. And now I know what's up and noon and that was all for you. Say you never knew stakes is native hurricane. I was go always not a like a bagel, Drake your face. But I was thinking to his soul when I was by the cover. Hang out by Wayne, man, I ain't like the make whatever. I say kablam, flame mind, you gave me no resistance. This nap so hard, go within and never missing. Convinced that you me love me now, but store and never tripping. It's the enemies it's all, boy, yo come and get tripping. Tune in, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, I say the in, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream.
What up, though? Welcome back to GPTV1 live stream. As I dive into one of the most talked about cases out there, the high-profile showdown between P. Diddy and the U.S. government. Buckle up, because you won't want to miss what we've got in store for you today. So let's get right into it. Evidence was introduced as a federal agent gave his testimony on things they found in a raid at Diddy's homes. And the findings are raising eyebrows across the board. We're talking about some serious pieces of evidence that could potentially shape the outcome of this case. Grab a snack and a cold drink, because we're going to break it down, and it's all for you. But hold up, before we dig into the juicy details, a quick public announcement. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Your support keeps us going, helps bring you the best coverage. Are y'all ready? Let's get to it. Welcome to the GP Inner Circle. What up, though, GP fam? I'm excited to announce that the GP membership is now officially active. This is your chance to step up and show your support in a way that truly matters. By joining the Inner Circle, you will unlock exclusive perks tailored just for the most dedicated supporters, because you deserve nothing less. But that's not all. The Super Chat feature is now live, giving you an even greater opportunity to engage with me and the community in real time. Your support fuels my passion and creativity, inspiring me to deliver the kind of fire content that only the GP fam deserves. So why wait? Join the GP membership today and be a part of something special. Let's elevate this community together, because when you thrive, we all thrive. Welcome to the Inner Circle. Your journey starts now. Much love. So we're going to check out some evidence while I give my thoughts. It's a heavy debate among prosecutors and defense lawyers and others working that field. Many of the prosecutors say they're not proving their case. I mean, many of the defense lawyers, who analyze these cases and they be on these talk shows and court TV shows, they all say they don't think the evidence has been proven in terms of a RICO. And we're all questioning that. But then people who's on the prosecution side, they say they're doing a good job. They moving into where they proving this RICO charge, and a lot of this evidence, it can be damaging. It can be damaging for sure. So let's check out some of this stuff they saying. I'm gonna sort of get my thoughts on what's going on in this trial. This is a live update. This is GPTV1. You can check out the GP store. And let's share my screen and go over some of the things these people have been saying. They got pictures of the evidence that's found in this case. So we're going to check out some of the pictures that was presented in trial today. The plot get thickens, and remember, this case going 8 weeks. So let me share my screen here. Yeah, let's share this and check out some of the evidence they found at his house, allegedly. Well, they factually found that there. So let's hear some of what they have to say.
A series of shocking pics released by the Department of Justice halfway through week 2 of Sean Diddy Combs' trial for sex trafficking and racketeering, charges he denies.
Even the judge has made mention.
You see a sketch of that AR-15 they found at his house, and the serial numbers are scratched off of there. That's damaging within itself, but is it a RICO?
Of not wanting this to be a case sort of built on gossip, but really making sure that these jurors are hearing the meat and potatoes of what we're here for. And that's the criminal enterprise, racketeering, sex trafficking, and making sure that we're hearing information that somehow lead to all of those things.
All of this was uncovered during that raid on Diddy's Miami compound back in 2024. Firearms and ammo, bondage kits, sex toys, male performance enhancers, a plethora of stripper heels, an alarming amount of baby oil and lube, and drugs, all allegedly used in Diddy's so-called freak-offs.
A former personal assistant of Sean Combs from 2007 to 2009 wrapped up his testimony today. And part of what he described is seeing Sean Combs, he says, frequently using drugs. Because of these freak-offs, the personal assistant, sometimes he said he had to get supplies.
That's what you do when you start binging. Some people can binge for like 2-3 days, literally. Back when I used to be hustling in the streets, and this is during the crack era. And, we would see people just be up all night for days at a time. And us as hustlers, we sitting in the spots or whatever, we serving these people. We up for 2 or 3 days, even though I didn't get involved in taking those drugs that keep you woke all night or whatever. But people would take pills and that type stuff to stay woke. But let's get back to it.
For the hotel. He said oftentimes the hotel would be under Sean Combs' alias Frank Black, and that he had to provide underwear, clothing, applesauce, Jell-O, Fiji water. These were things that were expected to be in the room that Combs was used to having, that his personal assistant said he would provide. Also interesting to note, he said early on he would expense some of those things, the Jell-O and the Fiji water and things, on the bad boy account. But he said when it came to the Astroglide, the condoms, and things of that nature, he would get reimbursed in cash, almost as if there was no record of those types of things. And more specifically, when it came to the Astroglide, the condoms, and baby oil, he said he would be reimbursed in cash. I think so much of what came out of that civil lawsuit and these freak-offs, and this idea that, again, Cassie Ventura saying she was forced into these situations and that she really didn't want to partake in them, even in her closing statement Friday. saying, I would give the $20 million back if it meant I never had to take part in a freak off. This is how she ended her testimony. So it is a big part of the case in reference to this notion that she was forced into it. And remember, the criminal enterprise and the racketeering, according to that indictment, is about him using force and threats and arson and all of these things, they said, for his sexual desires. So that's why I think a lot of what we're hearing are these details from escorts, from people who not just people that were taking part in that.
So yeah, I just wanted to show some of the pictures that they showed that they found in this raid, and that's a lot of dope they found just laying around his house or whatever. There's so much dope coming through there in terms of using it. Like, it's at every part of his house that he can just reach to. So you get to the point where he just be partying hard and he need all this stuff. He need all these tools. And he expect those things to be in place. But they found so many different type of drugs. That's the thing that get me. Like, back in the day, I know in the hustle game, we would see people that use multiple drugs or whatever. You know, people would mix cocaine with heroin. They called it a speedball back in the day. But just the mixture of all the drugs this guy is using, and it seems to be all uppers that he's using. Upper type of drugs, the drugs that'll keep you fueled for days on end. But I want to share another video where they going through some of the evidence and things that happened in trial today. Let me share my screen, and I want to get my thoughts as I go along. And by the way, I have more episodes coming with the GP. My software is just not working correctly right now, where it's not recording properly, and both my software are acting like that. So I'm gonna get back to it, and I'm gonna keep dropping good stories and good contents. If you're stopping by, click that like button. This is GP TV1 Live. Getting the hang of it as I go along. So let me share my screen here. And let's see what they were saying about what went on today in trial. Let's play some of this.
This is Special Agent Gannon. He is back on the stand. He is from the Homeland Security Department, that human trafficking division. So right away, as testimony got underway, he opened up a bag and brought out a pair of red platform heels to show the members of the jury. He also showed them a picture of that, and then also held up that pair of platform.
That was part of his fantasy. You got to remember that P. Diddy make music videos, so all that stuff is fantasies along the way.
Heels, saying that 6 pairs of platform heels were taken from the house, but then another 12 were also taken. So he was going through a series of items that were seized from the house: guns, drugs, things that tested positive for cocaine, as well as those platform heels. Now, inside the courtroom, so Sean Combs is sitting there next to his counsel, and when cross-examination of this witness took place. So that just began a short time ago. The direct examination is complete. Cross just began with Temi Garagos. As Temi is asking questions, Sean, looks at her, and then he doesn't look back at the witness. He watches the jury to see how they are responding. So right away, what did Temi ask the witness on the stand? She talked about the execution of that search warrant and how he executed it at a time when he knew that Sean was leaving the country with his 2 twins. There was an objection at that point. There was then a sidebar. A lot of conversation took place, so I was able to come outside that courtroom and bring Court TV this live update. But just before that, so when court got underway this morning, none of Sean's children were inside the courtroom. But eventually, after about an hour after court proceedings began, the kids walked in. Some of the children, the sons, walked in. They sat down.
They can take to hearing their dad doing all this freaky stuff. The daughters don't want to hear all that graphic stuff about their daddy.
And then it was as if Sean Combs could either tell they were in there, or he just thought, maybe I'll turn around and see if they've made their way in. He then turned around and he looked at one son in particular for quite some time. Sean then did a head nod a few times, and his one son did the head nod back to let him know that we are here. We're here to support you inside this courtroom. But jurors have been paying close attention, taking notes. They have monitors in front of them, Julie. So they're up close to those monitors, really looking at each item that is being shown to them via picture. And then also the special agent is bringing them out and showing them to the jury as well, each item. So that's what's been taking place.
So when y'all was at y'all daddy's house, y'all didn't see all these drugs and all that stuff hanging around there? Y'all didn't notice any of that stuff? Or is y'all using some of that stuff? I don't know. Let's go.
The special agent going through a big cart of items. So just watching all of the things that have been seized from inside Sean Diddy Combs' mansion in Miami.
Oh, Kelly, I love hearing all of your observations. So Diddy's watching the jury. Huge takeaway. How about those jurors? Did you see any of them at any points watching him or studying his movements?
Yeah. There's one woman that is kind of, so how it's set up, there are 3 rows, the one back, then the one middle, and then there's one really close to counsel tables. And so there's one woman that's in the middle that will often take a look at Sean Combs as the testimony is taking place. I'm not so certain she's just looking at him for looking at him's sake, because he does look different from what you normally see on TV. He has a
That's part of it. Hold on, let me just go ahead and play it.
little kind of a beard, goatee, and then he has his gray hair. So I'm not sure.
That's part of the strategy of the defense. I can't say the defense is doing a good job. I mean, they want him to look like a regular person, a regular human being with the gray hair and all that type stuff. They don't want all that makeup, and plus he can't put that stuff on anyway, but they want him looking like that. That's a strategy.
If she's looking at him to see what his reaction is, or just looking at him in general, maybe in a way starstruck.
Right, Kelly. Is he still wearing the sweaters? We know that was his repeat outfit. Is still today another sweater?
Yeah, that's his look, Julie. That is his look. He has that crew neck sweater on. It's light. He has a kind of a shirt, a men's shirt underneath. So really buttoned up, very conservative look, and just sits there, confers with his.
Of course, they want him looking conservative. They don't want him looking like a superstar, this global conglomerate,
Counsel back and forth. But yeah, it's interesting when Temi is up there. I mean, he really is gazing at her as she is asking the questions, and then he watches the jury to see if they have any reaction to what the witness is saying.
This is interesting. I could talk to you all day about this, Kelly. What about when it's one of the government prosecutors up there? When it's a government attorney, is he still paying attention to their questions?
He's not looking at them when they're asking the questions. He's sitting there looking at the witness and then jotting down notes and conferring.
Oh, you're trying to hypnotize him, huh? I don't know. But they say they keep claiming that he's paying close attention to this case. And I would too. So that's the best thing to do when you're on trial. Pay attention. Those lawyers can get tricky. That's why you shouldn't represent yourself when you're going to court.
With counsel, so not looking when the government is asking the questions.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. How about the gallery? How big is the gallery, Kelly, in terms of people sitting? We've seen the lines, and that there are people who have jobs of being the line sitters who will kind of camp out overnight to hold the places. How many people would you say, kind of ballpark rows, are there in who can watch this case?
Well, it's not huge. So 21 members of the press are able to get in. So we take up about 3 rows. Then there are about 3 rows in front of us. So when you walk inside the courtroom, that's on the right-hand side. Then on the left-hand side, you have supporters of Sean Combs. So his sons are in, it's either the second or the third row. So they save those seats for his children in case they do arrive. So no one can ever take those seats. So those are reserved for his family if they do come back to court and arrive like they did today. And they arrived about an hour into court proceedings. And then behind them,
very organized in federal court.
There are for some members of the general public and other supporters of Sean Combs, so of course members of the public as well. So very strict to get inside the courtroom. It is full. There's no other room in there, and inside the security, if someone speaks,
What about the outside? P. Diddy expect a fans frenzy outside the courtroom.
someone talks, they will come over. And for instance, one of the security guards said to one woman, "Hey, chatterbox, this is the..."
I'm gonna keep it 1,000. I am not a fan of P. Diddy, but I'm still all for this stuff playing out in court.
Third time now that I told you to keep it down. If I have to do it again, you're out. So you really cannot make a move, Julie.
Kelly, you served as a prosecutor. You know how it is in state court and in federal court. It's like everything's a bit heightened. It's even stricter than in state court. So, my goodness, yeah, I can imagine they don't tolerate any.
Julie,
Yeah, because those courts are operating differently, you know. It is what it is. I don't know if they were reserving seats in the state court systems in those trials, but the fed's a different level. I've been to a federal trial before when my partner, he had to go to, he had caught a fed case, and I went to his case, and they were very organized. It's definitely different than the state cases. I've been in both courthouses watching trials, so.
I actually like that training. I like that training that we have, because I know I'm not going to be getting in trouble when I'm in there, because we have that training to know what to do. Some other people, they're basically getting kicked out.
Right. No, you know exactly. I mean, sometimes when you see members of the media with their phones on and things, you think, my gosh, and we've seen it. We've seen attorneys get in big trouble for having their phones on, things like that. Oh, I know. Well, really excellent observations you've shared with us, Kelly. Stay warm there in New York City. We'll let you get back in the courtroom and look forward to more reporting from you throughout the day. Let me bring in our legal analyst, Erica Wilson, now for some questions about Sean Diddy Combs. Erica, you heard Kelly's observation she was sharing with us. What's it tell you about Diddy and the way in which he pays close attention to his own attorney and the jurors, and different body language when it's the government in control?
Well, you know, that's not uncommon to see, but particularly with what we know of Diddy and his persona since he's been Sean P. Diddy Combs' Puff Daddy. What we do know is that he does kind of have sort of this kind of controlling personality. And so it's not uncommon for you to see someone that type of personality to be more enthralled with their defense and more involved, because we've all had them. We've all had those clients that they pretty much run the show. They want to be hands-on. They want to tell you what questions to ask, what not to ask. They want to tell you how to litigate, what witnesses to call. And so something in my spirit just tells me that Diddy kind of has that same kind of energy when he's dealing with his attorneys. And obviously, you know, the prosecution, they're opposing your position, and so you do display a different sort of body language. And we see that common not only with the parties, but we see them with witnesses. You know.
So I'm gonna stop it right there, and that's their observation on the P. Diddy trial. This is GP TV1 Live, giving the live update on this trial. Stopping by, click that like button. I will have more episodes coming very soon, so looking for that. But it's another clip I wanted to see. They've been keeping up with this trial as well. And let me see if I can find that really quick. Yeah, this is it. I want to see what they saying about the trial, because these are all people that's sitting in the courtroom watching the trial, and they taking notes while they watching it. And they can't take phones and stuff in there and record what's going in there. This is the federal government, so you can't go in there with equipment like cameras and stuff like that. So, but let's go here and check out what they saying and get my thoughts on that. So let me share this screen and see if that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm gonna share this screen and see what they're saying.
Was inside that courtroom. We have limited time with Elizabeth. I know she has to jump right back in there. Elizabeth, good to see you. Talk to us about the day, how it started with the continuation of the testimony of this special agent from Homeland Security that was part of the raids that were conducted on Sean Combs' property and what evidence was found, or potential evidence. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, this testimony is something I myself have been very interested in. And this is no offense to all the witnesses that have been testifying, but I really just wanted to see the physical evidence and see especially what was found in those raids. And so Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent Jared Gammon, he took the stand actually yesterday afternoon. And he at first kind of started going over some of the exhibits, especially what was found in the Miami home. And that's the home on Two-Star Island, excuse me. So they didn't talk about the LA homes or anything like that as far as what was found in that particular home. Really was just focusing on the Miami.
Then P. Diddy, man, you ain't covering what you got going on. It's like you so loosely with everything, you know. This is where you become relaxed in your endeavors and you're really not thinking that. You start thinking people can't touch you. You feel untouchable. And you think you can ride around and do this and that because you've been doing it for so long. Yeah, you start to feel like you're untouchable. And just them finding all this stuff in this place right here and this, you know, it's almost like this stuff was not hidden. So, but let's go. Let's listen to more of this.
Miami estate, essentially, because it's a huge property. And so we found out yesterday that 80 to 90 officers were involved in this search. And a lot of the stuff from today was a little just kind of continuation about everything that was found. So we saw a lot of exhibit photos. And I took, Jesse, a lot of notes because at this point, it was just so many exhibits back to back to back to back that you just were so overwhelmed by everything that was found, essentially. And so we learned yesterday that there were AR-15s inside the Miami property with the scratched off serial numbers. We saw that there were platform high heels that were 7 inches tall inside this Miami home. There were sex items inside this home found in the primary bedroom closet. There were then we got a close up of the red high heels and the sex toys, and then these high heels were actually displayed in front of the jury. So Special Agent Gannon, he just took up the heels, kind of showed them to the jury, then put them back into the evidence box, and then kind of had it with the rest of the evidence. And so they said more than a dozen high heels were actually seized from this property. Then we saw some shoes, we saw some boots in the primary closet, and these were special boots. They were Balenciaga boots that I myself cannot necessarily afford. But inside these boots were 3 cell phones. Diddy didn't have much reaction during this testimony, but it was interesting that these cell phones were found in these Balenciaga boots that were inside the closet. And so we also saw a black Gucci bag.
I guess they had some videos on them cell phones
That was also found inside the closet, and inside that Gucci bag was pills, a powder substance. There was also eye drops in the bag. And so, you know, that Dr. Seuss kind of story, red fish, blue fish, all that stuff, that was essentially kind of the same thing with pills. And I'm not making light of the situation. There were pink pills, there were white pills, there were yellow pills, there were black pills, there were blue pills, there was a crystallized substance. So inside that Gucci bag, some of the residue found inside actually tested positive for cocaine and ketamine. And then they saw a black straw that was also found in this Gucci bag. It also tested positive for cocaine and ketamine. We saw the Lumify eye drop label, the Lumify eye drop label bottle. So initially, I was thinking these were just regular eye drops, but turns out that these eye drops actually tested positive and contained MDMA as well as ketamine. Then we saw
ecstasy in the eye drops. Yeah, I mean, people in the entertainment, rock stars, they use all kind of psychedelic type drugs and all this stuff you drop in your eyes and all that. That's when weed just don't do nothing for you at this point. Forget about smoking a blunt.
A plastic container top. It had kind of the label on it, DBL wash, and that tested positive for cocaine. It was a lot of stuff, Jesse, that we were seeing inside these exhibit photos. A lot of these were pills, tested
no kilos packed up in there.
Positive for MDMA. 3 orange pills with a triangular shape that were referred to.
Who was getting all these drugs from him? Where was he getting all these drugs from? I mean, like, who was the courier person? I know it was another person that got caught up. He was supposed to be some type of drug courier for Diddy, and and he pleaded out. I wonder, is he going to be one of the witnesses? But there's a lot of drugs right here.
Or had a Tesla label on them. Those tested positive for MDMA. We saw 6 rectangular tablets. Those tested positive for alprazolam, aka Xanax. We saw more Xanax pills in there. We saw a $100 bill that was rolled up that tested positive for cocaine and ketamine. We saw a blue tablet that tested positive for meth and MDMA. Another blue pill that had the same test results. We saw more Xanax pills. Then we get into the master bathroom and we see more exhibit photos. So we see an exhibit photo of the master bathroom and a close-up of this wooden box. And this wooden box had the kind of inscription on top labeled Puffy. And so we got to see what was inside that box. More clear pills, a crystallized substance in that box, and then these capsules that were called golden teachers. And I was like, what are golden teachers? And they are actually mushroom capsules. And so those were displayed to the jury. We saw Ziploc bags of a purple solid crystallized type of material that tested positive for MDMA, ecstasy, as well as Molly. We see more kind of labels of what was going on inside the home in just different rooms, such as we saw zoomed in bottles of baby oil and Astroglide. The special agent said that he had seized 25 bottles of baby oil and 31 bottles of Astroglide from the home, but he said that there was actually more baby oil and more Astroglide that was found. We saw the master closet.
He's using all this baby oil because he out of his mind. I mean, you using all those type of drugs, like your mind is just gone in some super fantasy land, and I think that's what ecstasy do. And that baby oil is like appealing to him in his mind, in his drug-induced mind, you know. Let's go.
Closet, which had this vital honey. They didn't go too much into the explanation of what this vital honey actually is. We saw the layout of the guest house, and then we see a handgun as well too that was in one of the utility closets in a suitcase. It was a .45 caliber handgun. They displayed the handgun in court today, and they also seized the magazine ammunition for this .45 caliber handgun. They displayed this magazine to the jury again, as well as the handgun, and then we saw the box of ammo as well too. So Jesse, it was a lot of stuff, and I'm really just not even scratching the surface of just every single exhibit photo that we saw, but it was just a lot of, it was either a lot of drugs, a few kind of guns, because we had,
I can just about imagine you got to be writing fast if you're sitting in this trial. She had to go through all that evidence.
At the AR-15s again with the scratched off serial number, something that we had known about for a while now, but it was a lot of stuff, but a very interesting testimony, but not seeing too much really reaction from Diddy when all of this evidence was being displayed in court today.
Because it might not racketeering charge. Remember, one of the drug, distributors, one of the underlying predicate crimes, of racketeering. So having these materials, or allegedly having these materials and the guns, go to this idea of, a criminal enterprise. And I'll talk more about it. And I understand on cross-examination, the defense focused on the fact that Combs wasn't there during the raids. There was no evidence that he was holding or using the guns. They criticized the level of force. Talked about fingerprints that could have been obtained from the weapons. I want to talk actually about Dr. Dawn Hughes before I let you go. Dr. Dawn Hughes, right, this forensic psychologist testified in the Johnny Depp.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Amber Heard trial. We knew she was going to take the stand in support of understanding Cassandra Ventura Fine's actions during this 11-year relationship, not leaving during this relationship, to help her credibility. What did we learn from Dr. Dawn Hughes' testimony so far today?
Yeah, we kind of learned a lot, especially for people who may not be familiar with her work or who speak to forensic psychologists necessarily every single day. And so we learned a little bit just from her perspective on just kind of the role she would be providing as far as testimony goes. And so she was going to be touching on points such as why do individuals stay in domestic violence relationships? Why is there this delayed disclosure, and even just kind of recalling memories from traumatic events. And so, when they were kind of establishing the foundation before her testimony, the prosecution just kind of came out forthright and just said that essentially that she was being compensated for her testimony today, $6,000 just to testify, which is a lot of money. I'm not going to lie about that. But as far as just more of just what she was talking about just about physical abuse. And when victims are hit, that their reaction normally is fear, and so they sometimes have that pattern of they sometimes have a hard time breaking that pattern. Then she got into physical abuse and how physical abuse, I said physical again, I meant psychological abuse. That psychological abuse is all about threatening physical violence, and that for the most part, victims are kind of walking on eggshells, and these symptoms kind of include depression, PTSD, anxiety. Then she got into sexual abuse and how that is a private harm, and just some of the highest types of traumatic stress go into that, and that a lot of victims actually experience shame when it comes to sexual abuse. She touched base on emotional abuse as well too, and she had said when we when we belittle and demean and put down our partner, that kind of falls into emotional abuse. If you can't talk about what's happening, how can you necessarily get help? She talked about financial kind of constraints as far as why victims may not leave because of financial reasons.
Yep.
And then she had said that you need tangible reasons to leave. So how do you leave if you don't have tangible resources? And so that was kind of the basis, because there were a lot of objections today, Jesse.
Oh, I'm sure.
Despite the defense saying that they weren't going to have a bunch of objections. But one of the cool things I would say about the cross-examination is that we got to see Jonathan Bach actually kind of in action for the first time. He's one of
That's
the
right.
So I'm gonna stop it right there. It's just a live update on P. Diddy's trial. All those drugs, that was a lot of drugs that got found with, like literally. All these drugs, I mean, you got 10 different type of drugs, all different type of pills, this type of powder, that type of powder, this type of crystal stuff, and you blow it out of your mind. How do you keep track of all these drugs? That's something deep right there. Like, so but that's a lot of drugs he was keeping up with, and that's a lot of drugs he was taking. And I highly doubt that he was just taking it once or twice a week or whenever he's ready to party. I believe he taking these drugs on a daily basis. Which one of these drugs he was taking on a daily basis, I could not tell you. But I really think this guy was a real junkie, and he's been using these drugs for a mighty long time. Everything he's been doing for a long time, a very long time. So he's numb to all that stuff, and whenever you use that much drugs, you start to get to be immune to some of that stuff, which makes you use more and more and more and more. It's just one big addiction. So you can look at this case in a bunch of different ways. So like I said, the debate is going to keep going on, and it makes great content for podcasts and things of that nature. But this is GPTV1 Live. I just wanted to do some updates on this P. Diddy trial. I want to thank the few people who came through, and the viewership is going to go up on this live stream. So I can't wait to do more content. I got some episodes coming on GP. Like this channel, subscribe if you're new here. And I appreciate the new subscribers. I really appreciate that. We're marching straight to 7,000 subscribers. And after we hit that 7,000 mark, we're going to march right to 10,000 subscribers. So I'm going to keep filling the channel up with good content. And I tried to do an episode yesterday, and my software is just not working right now. Neither one of my software I use to do my podcast on, so I had to go live 2 days in a row. But I'm still starting to get the hang of doing this live thing. I see a few people in there. I shout y'all out. That's what's up, though. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all for stopping by. But yeah, I got more content coming, and I just can't wait to put it out there. So I'm always looking for some good stories to tell. Somebody made a request in the comment section. I was like, no. They want me to do an episode on Chester Wheeler. To my surprise, that's my #1 search term when it comes to GP. And they want me to do a video comparing him to Nate Boone Craft. I'm like, nah, man, I'm not finna get into that right there, Those guys coming from two different eras. You know, these big hit man and stuff like that. But Nate Bonecraft, he be on YouTube. I think he got a YouTube channel. Former best friend, hitman, and all that type stuff. He talk a lot of deep stuff, so y'all can go check that out. But I would not be making an episode comparing those two guys. But anyway, it's time for me to sign off on here. And y'all know how the saying go. Stay blessed out there, fam. Stay blessed. Stay safe.
Tune in, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, I said the end, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, I don't freely straight the plot. Or when I'm stand up for the stone, I live my life. Been east to rich when eastern, they still when I make it fast. But the schoolies never bet for me, my always still for thighs. I'm the horn. Niggas know they cute you, I keep out the bone. But let's get it, you know my me and wish be up the shown. And when I see a nigga smile, you will stay up front. And if they got me, know then now you know I did the con. You up the icon, I see the fact. This scene I'm busy, but I hate I wake, so what I pack. I keep a searing in the rain, then I smoke as trash. And if I get I'll keep a four, I know some plenty, yeah. Taking trash to the sky from my leason to living. All the flu on the blend that